I've been thinking about making videos about some of my patients. You have no idea the things we see. Because there are so many different people and we get to see all of them. We can't refuse seeing some people really. That actually, at the end of the day, it becomes positive because otherwise I might have never wanted to be in the same room with the same people. And some people expect too much of the doctors. They think we are not humans. We have to self-sacrifice ourselves for them. And we used to do that. But unfortunately, the way people treat us these days, we just don't have any more motivation to be that self-sacrificing. Because life is really about give and take. We can only give so much, and then you start thinking, why am I doing this for some people who don't appreciate me or who are rude to me? It's not always bad, it's sometimes very, very funny. Like sometimes the way people sit in the rooms. I have actually contemplated hiring actors to replay the way we see people when we come into a room. So everybody knows what we have to go through. For example, there was a guy with his mistress. She was, I don't know, like 20, he was like 40 something. Just imagine, you're the doctor and you come in and there is a guy sitting there and a woman is sitting on his lap. And they kept insisting that we are married. So the more people insist, the more you know that's not the case. But anyways, she was my patient and I mean, I used to be so... The first few months that I started practicing medicine, I was so energetic and passionate and I would argue and I would try to correct these people. But then eventually they wear you down. You don't have any energy left to argue. And then I've also realized that you can't change people really. I mean, the only way I can change them is to argue and fight them. But what's the point? And anyways, I decided eventually that I can't. But sometimes it makes it very difficult for me not to laugh. Which is very unprofessional, but sometimes it's just difficult, like this case. I know that eventually I told them, excuse me, but I'm a physician and this is not appropriate. And he kept saying, but she's my wife. I'm like, right. I mean, I didn't say it out loud. I don't want confrontation. But anyways, so he stood up. So she sat on her chair and then slowly he moved back behind her. And while I was asking her question, he started rubbing her shoulders. I told him I don't want distraction, but I don't know. Maybe that was the only private room they could get. But anyways, I didn't argue anymore. But my point is, I have contemplated hiring actors to reenact these kind of things. I have so many stories, so many. So people see what we have to go through. And these are actually good cases because some people are just plain rude. They yell at us. They use profanity. But in general, most people behave normally. A few are very, very nice, very, very polite, very appreciative. Some people really dress up to come to the doctors. I absolutely love them. And you might not know it, but consciously or unconsciously, we actually do more for them. Because I see this person who's done so much to just come and see me. I see respect. I reciprocate respect back. And I absolutely love those kinds of people who are polite and nice. And then there are very few, unfortunately, actually no, not very few, but there are a few who are rude, like point blank rude. My tolerance for this kind of behavior is absolutely zero. So I just come out of the room and I tell the manager, go handle them. I'm not going to see these people. Legally, we should see them. So Either another doctor sees them, by then, because they see that I didn't see them, they will be polite to the next doctor because they know that they won't have options anymore if the other doctor doesn't see them either. Or I'm forced to go back because if other doctors aren't available or aren't willing to see the patient, I go back, but they start behaving themselves and they become polite. Not polite, but regular. But, anyways, I mean, I used to be so nice. I loved people. That was one of the reasons I became a doctor, because I loved to help others. But one bad attitude after another, one bad experience after another, eventually all of them pile up and we can't really take it anymore. We become like the movies that they show that the soul becomes dark. That's what happens to us, really. I've noticed that actually the male doctors, they are very practical. So a lot of them learn this very early on and they just get on with their own lives. They stop caring as much as they should or they would or they did, and they just do the bare minimum that they must do. It doesn't mean that they don't practice medicine properly. They do everything that they are supposed to do, but they won't go over. Those are the doctors that you see that they barely talk to you, they barely look at you, they do what they are supposed to do and they just leave. Even the ones that they talk and they act very nice, some of them it's because we are forced to do it. Because our owners, they have noticed that we don't have enough incentives to be nice because people aren't nice anymore and our owners aren't nice to us anymore. So they force us by saying that if you get enough complaints, you won't receive bonuses and stuff like this. But it actually backfires completely. You see some doctor who looks like they care and they act very polite, but in fact they don't do their best for you. I've seen this so many times. But it's all a very broken cycle, unfortunately, in USA especially, because people get used to customer service, meaning they can do whatever they want, and then the shopkeepers have to bow down to them because the owners want to make more. So they get used to this attitude. Again, most of the people aren't like this. It's just really very few people. As I said, I used to be very nice. I did so much for people, you have no idea. Over time, if you keep listening to me, I will mention different examples. Oh, and by the way, another thing, some of the doctors are very smart. Some of them have great memories. And some of them are very vengeful. So some of the doctors actually remember you if you insult them for the rest of the times that you will see them. I'm not one of those people for two reasons. I'm not going to discuss one of the reasons, but the other reason is that I don't have a good memory. So that's good for you. Unless you were so rude that I remember you. Even if you're very rude, but next time you change your hairdo, I won't remember you. Or if you shave, or if you grow beard, I won't remember. Because I don't remember names, basically. Unless you really go out of your way. Some of the doctors, they also don't have a great memory. But these days, we can leave notes in the charts. And I've heard some doctors actually leave very interesting notes to themselves to remember that this patient, for example, was rude last time. So the reason I mention all of these things is that we are all humans, and sometimes people forget this. When they see a doctor, either they think we are gods, or some people think we sacrifice ourselves for everybody, no matter what. But we are exactly humans. Actually, nice people, when they come to our clinics and offices, sometimes they make our days, and sometimes they literally make me really, really happy. There was a lady who talked to me. She was so lovely, that after I came out of the room, for the next 4 hours, I was so happy. Myself, I'm kind of a bad patient to my doctors, and I don't tell them I'm a doctor myself. So I remember one time, one of my doctors, she kept telling me do this, do that, and I refused some of the tests that she wanted me to do. Because doctors in some offices are supposed to do specific things. For example, most patients do mammogram with this doctor, or colonoscopy, or whatever. And if they don't get enough of those numbers, it's not good for them. So I knew this, but I didn't want to do some of the tests that she wanted me to do. But the next time, as soon as she saw me, she frowned. And I could tell that she had no idea why she was upset with me, but she knew she had a bad memory of me. That was very interesting.